because it is what it is, and you can't get yourself all frustrated because you are trying to do 100 things while also being a present parent, involved in your business, and of course, managing your relationship. So that's exactly what we are talking about today. Devora is a relationship coach as well. And one of the issues we're talking about, I mean, I know we only have about 15 minutes, but we managed to touch on several things anyway. One of the things we're going to talk about is sleep and something called sleep divorce. But I'm going to let Devora tell you all about herself, and then we will jump into the juicy details. So, hi, Devora.
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's a pleasure to be part of your group. As I told you previously, your group is all about such positivity. There is no such thing as I haven't seen yet as complaining, bad mouthing, putting people down. It's very much forward thinking. What skills do we have to make our relationships with our husband, with ourselves, and with our kids better? And that is a fantastic tool to just plug into, especially in Facebook, social media. Like, let's get something positive out of it, right?
That's it. And I mean, honestly, I remember when I was searching for Facebook groups to be part of, to get advice, to get ideas, and it was literally almost all so negative, and a lot of either husband bashing or wife bashing, and just this idea that, you couldn't have a space where there was no accusation. I always say very clearly that I'm not telling anyone they have a perfect partner. No one does. And of course, your frustrations with your partner are totally valid. But if we are constantly in that negative loop of complaining, and living in our frustrations, how are we going to move forward? So, you know what? If there's one place we're going to focus on what is going well and how to build on that, then let's do that here, if possible.
Fantastic. And I love it. Yeah. All around the world, right?
Yes. So tell us, what do you do?
So I'm a relationship coach, and I'm also the host of the Sparked by Hollywood podcast. And it's interesting, Kim, I've been interested myself how the world is so enamored and so fascinated by everything that Hollywood represents, everything that the celebrities represent, what they talk about all the time, the news that we know all about them, what they're wearing, where they live, how much they're making, what roles they're in, what their family is like, their ideals or paradigms that they share with the world. And we're just very much familiar with it. And we talk about it. And at a certain point, it kind of percolates into our brains and becomes something that we think needs to be our life. But I find so much more to the concept of love, the concept of relationships, the concept of empowerment. We don't all have to be in long-term relationships only to break them and to have our heart broken and to have to sing songs to the world telling everyone how horrible we feel and how horrible the other person is.
Precisely. And as you say, we watch these Hollywood figures. Now, first of all, I mean, we're not really inside. We don't really know what's happening, but there's so much analysis of what's going on. And that's the thing, right? Because we live inside of that. And then we try to figure out, well, what is the term irreconcilable differences that they're always citing? Like, really?
Exactly. Yeah.
Is it really irreconcilable differences? Are we all just destined to follow in that path?
We're not destined to follow the path. And what happens is, I'm glad you mentioned that we're all in their pain. We're all in their story so much. And what happens is, because we're part of their pain and their breakup stories, whenever something like that happens to us, we run to Facebook groups, we run to friends, we run to family, and we tell them there are issues. And people are very quick to find solutions. You're having an issue with this, he's probably cheating. Get rid of him. You're having a problem with it, he's such a narcissist. Oh my gosh, throw him out of the house, get him help. It's never about us. It's never about what we can do to make things better. One of the big issues that come up in these Facebook groups or any kind of forums is, my love is gone. We used to have such a bubbling, firing love. We were head over heels over each other, and now it's just not there. What do I do? And a lot of times people say, I'm at the point, I've actually moved out of the room. I'm in the guest room. We're in different rooms. We're in different spaces. And we're pretty much at the edge. We're at the brink. And this is what society calls sleep divorce. They haven't actually separated, Kim. They haven't actually left each other's lives completely, but they're making a statement. And the statement they're making is that I am reclaiming my individuality. I am reclaiming my space. And I am making sure that you know about it. There's no two ways about it. You can't force me back into your bed.
Right, right. So I know we had touched on this a little bit earlier as well. When we use the word sleep divorce, so in this context, it's fully a negative thing. So we're not yet on the way we can actually use it as a tool part. So this is I'm removing myself from a vital part of our romantic relationship.
Yes.
Right. So
But is it all that so negative? And what I teach my clients is that is absolutely not. It's actually very positive. If we flip around the words, no longer call it sleep divorce, but call it sleep space. Right. Because we all need our space. We all need to express that sense of self. Sometimes we need it because we need a good night's sleep. We don't want someone kicking us in the bed. That's number one. You know how many people have told me, oh my God, I had such a good night's sleep. My husband's on a business trip. I'm like, girl, go get your own queen size bed. You don't have to be kicked if you don't want to. But it is a problem for a lot of people. They have a hard time finding either it's a relationship gone sour or they don't know how to sleep together or the other person is disrupting them. And that's okay. Because we grow up all our lives sleeping by ourselves. All of a sudden we get married and we have to be, bam, close proximity. Who thought of that concept? That all of a sudden we have lost that sense of individuality and we need to be next to that person for the rest of our lives.
No, but I mean, we laugh about it. There are tons of memes about it, but navigating that shared space, it's a real issue. Actually, my husband and I solved one of our biggest problems. We started sleeping with 2 separate blankets. So we no longer have the who's too hot, who's too cold, because I like to wrap up in my blanket and he likes to have space around him. I'm like, no, don't move, because then you're having cold air come in between my layers. So, solution, separate blankets.
Exactly. And you found a solution that works for you. And that's beautiful because that works within the context of your marriage. But to assume that everything is fine when it's really not, and then to be pushed over the edge and then essentially being pushed out of the room at the same time. Yeah. That's where things go wrong, and it doesn't have to go wrong. People can find solutions, like you said, Kim, 2 different blankets. Some people have 2 different beds. They don't have to have 2 tiny beds. If you've got this, have 2 massive beds and have the space to spread out. And when you're ready to come back together because you've had your space, that's when the magic happens. That's when I show my clients that it doesn't mean that you're being separated forever. It means that you are intentionally taking the space when you want it, or when your partner says, I need the space, and you give it to them. And then when you come back together and you're ready to be intimate once again, it's so much more exciting because you're not being forced to it. It's just the ebb and flow of life.
It is. It is. Now, I know one of the other things we had talked about too is like that conscious decision to not be intimate at certain times, to kind of create levels of anticipation.
Yes.
So
yeah, as a Jewish religious woman, I follow it's called the laws of Niddah in Judaism. Yeah. And what this essentially is it guides the Jewish couple to create a space of intimacy within their marriage. So actually every single month, built into the woman's menstruation cycle, she takes a space. She says, when my menstruation starts, that's when we're stopping from intimacy for a full 12 days. Now, within Judaism, it's kind of cut out for us where we have 5 days minimal of menstruation, and it's followed by 7 days where we ascertain that there's no menstruation coming, no menstruation flowing. And then at the end of the 7th day, we immerse in something called the mikvah, where it's a ritual bath that we immerse. We kind of, it's not a cleaning. We're not going from dirty to clean. We actually go in perfectly clean. It's like a spa day before. It's quite amazing. And we go and we renew ourselves on a spiritual level because it's a holy Jewish concept.
Okay.
But what I teach my clients is that it's not only relative to the Jewish religion, because as we know, Matt Damon actually described in an interview where he and his wife have a secret sauce to his long lasting marriage. Now, it's not like he's at the end of his days. He's still going, but he's so sure that his marriage is going to be long lasting and perfect, or it will take him till the end, because this method of 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, as he calls it. So he does 14 days, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, works for his wife. And they're so committed that he makes sure that whenever he's cast in a role, whenever his 2 weeks on is happening, he's home. He's there for his wife, and she is priority.
Oh, wow. That is fantastic. I mean, because again, it's so good to hear the positive stories coming out, right? And
yeah. Hollywood has positivity. We just have to find it.
We do.
I'll pick it out for you if you're looking.
I know. And we also use the, is it the, oh gosh, why is my mind going blank? Wolverine. Oh gosh, what is his name? Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman and Pierce Brosnan. I know they have some pretty good stories too, as well, in terms of how they prioritize their relationships.
Yeah.
But no, that is, and you're right. It is that idea too. I mean, for those who don't have a religious connection to such a ritual, it still is creating that space, that anticipation, that excitement, because, and this is one of the things I talk about sometimes, is bringing us back to that time towards the beginning of our relationship when there were no guarantees. There were no set, oh, well, every day by 7 p.m. we're going to be together. No, you didn't know when was the next time. You didn't even know sometimes if there would be a next date. So there was this, I want to say there's a little bit of anxiety. There was, but it was also tinged with excitement. And that is what we want to keep going.
Exactly.
Small ways. Oh,
yeah. If I can just use a quick prop for a second. This is something that I talk about. I've got a method called the champagne method. So I'm going to use my seltzer bottle. It works just like champagne. If this bottle was never opened, sealed shut, and I gave it a really good shake and shook it and shook it and shook it, we know that the carbonation is building up at the same time. And we know that if we took off the top of the bottle without shaking it, it will bubble up a little bit. But if we shake it up and then release the top, the explosion will be that much more. And this is the analogy that I use, Kim, when I talk about the 2 weeks on and the 2 weeks off of Matt's method. That what are we doing? We're not just saying, I'm not being intimate, I'm not being intimate, I'm not being intimate. No, we want to be intimate because that's how God created us. We should be attracted, but we're keeping that love and that anticipation bottled up inside. He's bottling up for her and she's bottling it up for him. And when the 2 weeks are over, or if someone wants to do 7 days, or they want to do 10 days, when that time is over, that they've stuck to their commitment and they've taken off the top of the bottle, they have an explosion of love right there. They have each other, no one else, just each other that they've been looking forward to for so long. And finally, they got it.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, Tafara, we're at our 15 minutes. So now, please tell us, where can we find you? Do you have anything going on right now? Oh,
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about the couples. Anyway, you tell them.
Sure. Well, if you'd like to follow me on Facebook, it's my name, Devora Goldberg. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's @Sparked by Hollywood. TikTok is @Sparked by Hollywood. And I talk to these different points that I discuss on my podcast. My podcast is also called Sparked by Hollywood. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. A new episode drops every single week. This week, we're actually dropping episode 40. Super exciting.
Yes.
And yeah, I have different courses coming up from time to time. I have different speaking engagements that I let people know about that's happening. And just hit me up, ask me questions. I always do free value coaching calls. So let me know if you have any further questions about what we discussed today, and we'll chat more.
Exactly. And well, we'll make sure to put those links in below as well, so everyone can find you. And I mean, I love that hook, that Sparked by Hollywood, because it's almost like the way I see it too, and I think this is something couples who are challenged with how to talk about their relationship can take from, because it's not confrontational if you're talking about somebody else.
Yeah,
So you start right there. Start with
exactly.
somebody else's problem.
Yeah, and start with their hook, because everyone in this world wants the love. Everyone wants the relationships. Everyone wants the empowerment. But how do we go about doing it?
Exactly. Oh, thank you so much. This was
This
a
was
pleasure.
wonderful. Thank you.
All right, so everybody, look out for those links, get in contact with Devora, and find out more about her programs and Sparked by Hollywood. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Kim. Bye. Are we continuing?